alien, extraterrestrial, and terrestrial thing itself. There's so much to cover. I had one other section I wanted to deal with on this, which would be tying in for the reason what I wanted to do is to segue and give you a little background on some of these creatures or folks or whatever you want to call it who are getting involved with people here on Earth for so long and this whole issue of the spirit. That in itself is one program. Last week, of course, we did the Midwestern connection because they have people here from Indiana and from St. Louis and all like that. So I don't know. We'll see how far it goes in this one. I still think it's best to divide that and bring, especially now that some information and pictures I want you to see, we won't be able to see. But we'll have to go from there again. Either way, let's just start, if we can, with what we want to call the middle section, or what I call TEAs 2, terrestrials, extraterrestrials, and aliens 2. And, all right. I want to say hello to all of you, and thank you for attending the Med Center for our second in our series of what we call T's, and with this nothing to drain. That's terrestrial, extraterrestrial, and alien, and the agendas so from them. The point is that now, as we move deeper into the Aquarian consciousness, into the cosmic age of Aquarius, if you would, we're finding it's time to think. This is the time for the thinkers. This is the time for folks to begin to put things together and reach some kind of conclusions. And as you saw by the flyer we filled at that time, it's one that is not only upon us, but we ought to get some kind of background on what is happening in general in order to be able to get more specific about events, weather control, mind control, and things that are happening seemingly on every day. I'm sitting on that pistol now, I realize that something is different, something is wrong, something is right. The wrongs, of course, are obvious. Everybody's getting sick, plagues are hitting, there's all kind of weather modifications. You can't tell one season from the other. It just goes on and on. The things that are good that people are finally beginning to awaken, they're beginning to challenge, they're beginning to try to understand what is happening, and realizing that they have to spend more time with their own consciousness, that they have to do for self. And even though people are flocking to the hospitals, many people, of course, are taking the what we call homeopathic.
Not all are able to.
This is all in keeping with the times that we're in. It's one thing to be chemical, which they now use alchemical. L in chem, being from chemet and chem, and being able to use things that are for chemical people. But when you're a biological person with some chemistry, you have to also go into natural things to keep yourself alive. Since there are different races here,
it's still on that level.
Different needs for those body types. You do everything, everybody should have this, everybody should have that. It's one of our first mistakes. Different people, even though the souls may inhabit various bodies, when you're in a certain body, you need certain things for that body type to function. And you cannot take things that other people, and even though they may all have souls, we've covered that before, need for their body types. So we need to understand that very clearly and very closely. So I want to start off with a little bit of what we call the racial connections. And I want to start off with the topic that most people don't hear enough about so-called Negroes, and about so-called people with
that part. What he was going into was about sickness. Now, on this low level, we've had low-level beings tell us that sickness is something that just happens. A baby is born with deformity, and we're supposed to think that's just natural. What he is talking about is there's certain foods for certain biologies. And he's about to go into the Negroes, people, who is us, and speak about our differences, how we're not supposed to be -3. We're supposed to be +3. But they pulled us into a -3 state, which makes us into a one-dimensional state. one-dimensional state. And the mathematics, like I've always told you guys, mathematics prove everything. So I'm gonna let him go back and finish up. And as I was saying, all that can see will see. Those who can't see will run. They cannot understand me and what I speak of, because I know my mind is high. My mind is so high. It's above all this. I'm so far above. I can't even, there's certain things I cannot interact with. I cannot participate in because I am so high. So that's just that's only understandable.
Now, that was what we call, archaeologically speaking, anthropologically speaking, the Negroids. I'm going to cover some areas here, and I'm also calling a person, Dr. Hickerman, who happens to be here today too, which will also, he didn't know I was going to do this for him or with him, but I'm also calling him to share some things with him too. Let's go back, first of all, since what isn't usually covered in the metaphysical text and in the books that you hear on Ardell and the artists is what is a Negro. There is no such thing, of course, as a Negro. Negro does not mean black per se. Negro is black. Negroid or Negro comes from a takeoff from the word Necro, Necro. And if you spell that out, Necro, and then you close at the end of the C, you get the G, Negro. Negro is the dead, the unknowing, the lost, the people who do not know who they are. Negro means necrophilia, places of the dead, places of the lost, the city of this and that. It is a made-up word that actually has some context because it means people lost in consciousness. People who are dead on a planet that gives life, dead to whom they don't know and who they do know. When we're looking again at Negroids, and I'll start off with that per se, they're talking about a very ancient people that have one thing in common with lots of other people in the galaxy, seemingly in the cosmos, and that is melanin. Melanin is the key for everything on this planet, and it's the thing that separates racial types and body types now. Melanin is a gift from the gods. Now, the point is, when you say gods, what are you talking about? You mean a gift from the Lord, as many Christians would say, or Jesus, or Islam, I don't even want to go into that part. But what you're looking at when you say God, you're talking about people in different dimensions, people much smarter, people around a little bit longer in body types, that have gone into certain areas in this universe. Not so much in the cosmos. In the cosmos, we're talking about the whole conglomeration. But we have almost what is now called 7 different universes, at least one. And in this universe, there's been a domination of people who have come in to practice godship. Now, godship can be either feminine or masculine. Prefer to say godship, you can say that too. But in many cases, these people are non-sexual. They have come here on what is called the 9th and 10th dimension. They have no physical bodies. They're not human physical planets, except in this particular universe. Anyway, most planets do not take on physical substances. And that's what we've been told before, but in research, it seems to be the best way to put it. And this particular planet Earth was a homemade place. It was a place many have called Nibiru. I heard that sometimes too, but I'm familiar with the story of that. It's a place that a lot of scientists from 4 different systems, the Pleiades, again, what is called again the Sirius or the Syrian group again, people from Procyon, people from Halcyon, all that together to put 22 planets like this together at one time in different universes to see what could be done if everything you could think of had a chance to come together. This is why the planet Earth is so diverse. This is why the planet Earth is so, beautiful. You have extremes of climate or had it. The climates are becoming one. I'll begin to see that. And that will happen supposedly by 2012. But you have here ice and beautiful formations of ice. You have snow that will come over. You have tropical rain. You have tropical places again, the very arid, if you would, and even rainforests. We have deserts here again, and we have plains. Every type of climate you can think of, you can actually actually be born into or travel into. And as you travel to these places on our earth, it's just like you're traveling to other planets. Because some planets have only one season, all of them. Only one tropical planet, only one desert. They are planets that do not have.
Which makes me think, could the heat represent heaven and the cold represent a hell, a state of hell? Could it? Most possibly. I would say most possibly. Because they always say things backwards for us. Everything upside down. They tell us to wait to go to heaven when our heaven should be now.
All the amalgamation that we have here. This is a well thought out thing. The reason why things here are so complex is because you have so many different kind of thoughts at work here. This was an amalgamation to see what would happen if all different creatures from different places could be brought together with their own kind of climate, and then to see if they could evolve whatever species one out to reach a height to get back to what would be called the universal prime creator. I use that term simply because it says universal, which means the vast, prime meaning first, and then creator meaning creator of, creators, causing it to come forth. So here you have everything. And as we have seen, these everythings can't seem to get along for too long. And there's a reason for that, because there were also two other subgroups that didn't like the idea that all of these amalgamated species or universes or people could come together to create 22 that they didn't have any part of, and so therefore they became like invaders. They began people trying to see if they could usurp. Their creatures have been made. Named Lucifer, supposed to be the fallen one. We've had Anu, supposedly from the Anunnaki, the ones that fell from the sky. They've had all kind of different stories that have gotten jumbled up. And then they gave a book, which was not intended for everybody on this planet, which they called the Bible, which was a usurpation of other books that were given. And some were not even given books because it was not necessary for them to read. They were communicated with telepathically. Yet we now have taken and brought up what is called religion. And as we stated before in metaphysics, and I'm very sorry.
Exactly, family. We were forced when we were on our way up to higher heights, we were pulled back into a state that we are in now, into this state where I just say we have 9 DNA series. 3 of them have been isolated, dormant, whatever you want to call it. We've been cut off from it. From it. So, of course, we would be like what? Gentiles, cut off from who we truly are. So you might as well say a -3 of the 9. And we're pulled into 6. We pulled into being like the common Caucasian, Caucasoid, who didn't have these abilities, didn't have the ability for survival on this planet. All other races do not have the ability to survive on this planet without us. And that is a fact. That is just a fact. So this is why it's important to keep you in this state, to keep us in this state. a lost state, as he was saying, a Negro.
Sorry, we're stepping on a lot of toes here today, but it's not the first time. If you need religion, then you don't need soul.
Mm-hmm.
Religion is for the soul. It's a training guide to tell you what to do and what not to do. When you're born with the soul, you're born with the spirituality that needs your religion. It means that you're born understanding the rights and wrongs. And all you have to do is on the lowest plane of all, the physical plane, prove what you know. This is not real.
But people do not understand that point. They cannot, other people that look like you and me, Dee, they cannot conceive in their minds that we know right from wrong. They would swear up and down we're born dirty, evil, wicked, nasty. Then did they ever question themselves what was the purpose in being here? Do they ever just look at who did all the evil on the earth to us in particular and never correlate that or try to at least see what it really is all about? Because but the point that people are cut off from information and knowing thyself and allowed to just feel, not love, but know and feel what truth is, because we've been lied to way too many times. The whole existence under this system has been a lie. So you can't even get to love in that situation, because truth is a way you show love. Love is action. Lie is not love at all. Zero. And if you live in a lie, it's to live life without love.
Reality. And the movement is trying to tell you, this is not real. And if it was real, you would never have to sleep. You sleep because it is so unreal that you must get back to reality, which is the dream I say, in order to wake up to keep the physical brain intact. This is why the physical body generates ages and you die. It doesn't mean you ever die, it means that the physical body wears out. And it wears out in a short space of time, less than 100 years in most cases. Or really with serviceable, sometimes by 60. So I'm saying it to you, if you doubt that, ask yourself, why do you have to sleep? No matter how much you eat, no matter how much you pray, no matter how much you do anything, you must do what? Sleep. And if you don't sleep every 72 hours, you will not. You will sleep standing up, you will sleep riding in a car, you will sleep riding a plane, you will sleep. Because you need to energize the physical body with a substance that you cannot get from anything you eat or anything else. It is pure thought. And if you understand, many people take poisons. But when they elevate their thoughts, they don't die. Other people who don't even understand how thoughts can alter frequencies take poisons and they do that. People are running on eating glass light bulbs, things like this, and they are able to do so. You say, well, what's the difference? They might be what we call a psychic clone. They look like you, but not like you. Internally, there's so much difference in this day. In many cases, physiologists, people who study the human body, when they cut open some people, they are amazed at what they say. That doesn't make a difference, what they see. They don't have all the organs in place at the places we think of. We are a complex organization. We are a species here so in the mix that we are just beginning to catch on to what's happening. And as we catch on, they're trying to knock us out. So let's go back again to look at some not so ancient terms, but terms that we must think of as places in order to get to the hub of what I want to bring you. We have what is called Greece. We're told here under a certain group of people that Greece, again, was the precursor again of Rome, and that the Roman and Grecian empires were the biggest ever seen. Well, when we understand one thing, ancient Greece, which goes back past Rome and so on like this, was called Ionia. The Ionians were a Negroid-looking people. Now, anything that came after the Ionians were misplaced, or displaced, or travelers who came to a land that were not the indigenous people of that land, the people whose history now, very briefly, we've been indoctrinated with. There's reasons for all of that. When we look at what would be called Roman, and we look at the Pope, we look at the Vatican, we understand that there was in the tip of Italy there Sicilians, and that they were different from upgrade Romans, and that they fought each other, and so on again like this. We'll understand that the more ancient name for Italy was Etrusca. The Etruscans were Negroid looking, using again their terminology. But you don't hear anything about Etrusca too much again. When you go again to in the land of what would be now called Africa, there's no such place called Africa. You cannot study ancient history in for Africa, because Africa doesn't exist. If you notice, all of these continents now are named with the letter A and end with the letter A, except for one, Europe, which is not a continent. They now told you there's 7 continents. So you see, all these lies are very hard when you go searching, because you're searching for something that doesn't exist. Let's just say that this matrix in physical is reality. So let's just look at the reality of something that doesn't have reality. Let's make something out of nothing. Let's go back now to Ethiopia. Well, when we find Ethiopia, we find that Ethiopia's ancient name was Judah. Talk about the Lion of Judah, Haile Selassie, well, this is what they were talking about. But they've changed all of this. So you can't even do research correctly now, and people that are arguing over superfluous childlike things, which even has no beginning other than the Roman, Greco-Roman culture. Romulus and Remus. The same kind of thing, and they told you they started from what? Romulus and Remus. Where were they born from? I remember. Where? Wolves. Wolves. Dogs. Okay. This is what they tell you. They started Rome. Well, all of these are allegorical. You have to begin to look past this foolishness. Even his story, finally got peaked. They say, well, his story is his story. But if I'm a Negroid, my story is a mis-story. Okay? Well, this is exactly what is happening. The terms. You give the devil, when you spell the devil backwards, what do you get? Right. When you spell live backwards, what do you get? Devil. Yeah. It's a backward way of living, which leads you to the devil. When you have to go with books and rather than going into consciousness. So I'm just trying to show you the words are all around, but nobody wants to talk about them. Why? Because you don't get paid well when you do that. You might get assassinated when you do that. Because you're waking up a soul which is so powerful that if it understands what it's in, what it's doing, the whole matrix they try to show you, the whole maze comes falling down. You're the most feared people in the universe, this particular universe, because the souls that you are in and the bodies that those souls came into got locked into the lowest vibrational rate possible, that of an animal, on a physical planet that had 21 other kind of animals and mixtures and clones and cyborgs and you name it. I'll go into each of those before we stop here. There's what is called the Tausatian connection, using the word Negroids. They were influenced greatly, if you're in a Negroid type body, by what is called the star-sun system series. They are the ones that influence you the most, and let's stay at the very beginning. They are the highest dimension, 9th or 10th dimension, type of intelligence in this whole part of our universe. Everybody else comes under the series. The series again, I'll go into that a little bit too to give a background. There is what are called 3 suns in Sirius. Most of it just say Sirius. Sirius A is in the constellation of what is called Canis Major, the big dog. They're supposed to be about 8.7 light years away. Well, whatever that means again, 183,000 miles a second, a light year. So anyway, about 8.7 light years away. Sirius B, which is what is called white dwarf, it's a star that is supposed to be nearing the end of or this being, much like our star is seen to be, if you would, has in what's called a light that is 100,000 times fainter than Sirius A. That's why it wasn't seen for the longest. Arthur Clarke, and so they're talking about they finally discovered Sirius B. Sirius B is a very faint star, but it is the one that has planets around. Sirius A has no planet. Sirius A, like Procyon and Alcyon, begins to control sun systems. And there are actually beings that are born on suns and on sun systems. One of the Orientals, the Japanese, and so were the last ones to be born on the sun. That's why their eyes are so static. This is why even when their souls came into these bodies, they had to still search again for a bright light, if you will. That's another thing then too. The Dogons of Africa, to kind of jump just a little bit about, since again, they're the ones that live in Mali and the ones there, if you would, stated that their ancestors either came from, were part of, or were influenced by beings from Sirius. We're talking about Sirius B, not Sirius A. Keep in mind, Sirius A controls sun systems. Sirius B is a more amphibian, or a crossbreed of prototype people who both live in water and in air. Sirius C is almost like an insect-like human, if you will. But they found one thing in common, they got together, if you will. The Dogons, as they're called, was stated that they were influenced by the Nomos on the star system called Sirius. Nomo is Nommo. And they said that these Nomos would teach them mainly in the evening. If they saw them in the day, they had to go to the cave. That's one of the reasons why they lived in the mountains with these caves, because these beings could not take a lot of sun and heat. But they stated that there were ancestors of them that could. They went there to these people and they were taught telepathically. This is why you find in most of the Kemet, the people there didn't do a lot of scribing and writing. The scribes were elitists who put down on the physical plane in pictographs, vertical columns, things we were supposed to know. They now call it again picture writing. They didn't write linear with things like this, no, because they used telepathy. And when you use telepathy, you don't have to write things down. We live in a call to write things down, to read things. And yet it comes very hard to people. But if you begin to picture things, if you begin to sense and look at people, you become telepathic somewhat, because you begin to pick up what that person is thinking by the actions, by the looks, and all throughout the area of Kemet.
That's utilizing that our extraterrestrial abilities when we can read people, sense things, intuition, just already knowing situations before you getting into them, or before, like I say, before you go down that alley, you get a sense that's not a good thing for me to do. Or before you go into the park, or before you go crossing the road, you just know there's going to be a car collision happening before you have to cross that road. So you're not going to do that because you already know what's going to happen.
This is what people are trying to do. They didn't do that, right? They said, well, why are there no parchments? So there's no need for it. They tuned in the universal mind. They were able to go into the soul, bodies, and sense. And then they convey back and forth by thoughts. People who do a lot of talking, people who do a lot of writing, are people who have lost the sixth sense. They're people who must communicate in the best way they can is by written words, scribed words. Now, I'm not saying now that you shouldn't do this. I'm simply saying you can understand now why a lot of history was not written. And they used, again, people that they call griots, people who have excellent memories. Well, all of us would have excellent memories if we used our brains and minds. But we can't if we have to write everything down.
This is what I'm saying. Being on a lower state of mind, -3, time, you thinking the concept of time. So you thinking the concept of age, where we didn't have that. There was a time when we didn't have those things like that. We didn't have where you had to keep up with the birthday.
We say now that that's written down, we can't remember it. And if we can't remember it, we forget it. You cannot forget anything that's described or made to the brain, especially if you don't know how to locate it. So what they're telling now to do? They're teaching you now to take a picture of something that you can't forget. If it's a sexual object, if it's something you love to eat, if it's something you want to have, and you tie certain thoughts to that picture, and you file it away in the neurons of your brain. Then when you see the picture, it tags itself to the thought. It's just like you use a computer. You go back and you get the picture, and then it comes to you back. More and more, we're told less and less we use our brain. Then they come and they say we use less than 1/10 of 1% of our brain. I don't know if we use any of our brain. But we're beginning to, because the very thing that the brain is supposed to do, we know. When you go to the computer, you look up one word, but you have to know the key word. Once you look up the word, it starts unfolding. That's what we people thought. They would hold things they couldn't forget. And then the stories with them followed on. Now we think everything is absolute proof supposedly, only if it's not written down and so it cannot exist. To give you an example, the Uri tribe, it's near Dahomey in Africa again, have had ancestors who have had long tails. They're scaly tails. They look more or less like an amphibian tail, if you would. They've had snouts, if you would, there too. And collectively, they had a god that they worshiped, a deity by the name of Eniwinkle, something along that line, Eniwinkle. This, along with many other gods that people have had, interestingly enough, turns out to be a kind of either cetacean, a creature like a mammalian, or a serpent. Let me give you some examples for that again. In Sumer, many people have to refer back to the Sumerians and so on. They had as a chief figure in their history Oannes, and that's spelled O-A-N-N-E-S. Oannes, you find out again, was a half-gilled, upright walking creature that could live in the water on land. Right? We had Eniwinkle, which we just talked about again. In North Africa, there's a lake called Lake Triton. If you go back, you'll find out that Triton and the creature that came out of Triton, which is named after him, said his name was Triton, was also a gilled person. Upright walking, 7 to 8 feet tall, had gills. Also, again, could speak telepathically, not with a spoken word, and seemingly was very intelligent and influenced the people there in North Africa around Lake Triton. When you go to the Mediterranean area, you go to what's called the Aegean Sea. They have a place in there that is called Nerio. Nerio was, again, a gill type person. Half creature that walked upright again and influenced the people.
There was a man I used to follow on YouTube. I had it. He ended up being, well, some suspected that he was killed, that he was, poisoned. Because when he came back from one of the trips, his investigative trips, in what they call the old country, overseas, he went over there because his thing was to talk about the different Bigfoot and man, the Neanderthal, and he would talk about all of that. So what Delbert is talking about, he's talking about different beings living amongst us on this planet. And as we know, he too got sick. And it seems to be, to me, that, he's talking in detail here about different beings again. And perhaps, we all know about Sasquatch. And that's what pulled me in to listen to this one YouTuber, I would say, how many years ago was that? That was probably in about 2012, around 2012, I would say. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and find his videos, and then we're going to look over them and talk about them, because It helps to go back to things, information, because the light bulb for me was coming on. And from there, I continued my studies on elsewhere, but I still was hardcore into uh, the unknown. So this is a very big possibility because our ancients depicted lots of different things. So a huge possibility.
Around that area. Directly in the Mediterranean Sea, you have what is called Artemis. Artemis was a mermaid, a half fish, half person who did not come out of the water, but could sit on barks and so ships and boats and talk to the people because she could not walk upright. She actually had skill. The lower half of her body was like a fin or a fish. Now, it's interesting that all of these stories come from various parts of that area that's now called the Near East, which of course has been known to us, it should be known to us as Kemet, our people land and not Africa, Kemet. And understand at one time when these people began to speak, they did not speak in vowels. They spoke in consonants. Okay? As much as the ancient Hebrew was in consonants. They didn't want to know who were the Hebrew people. Understand again, it was not necessary to get linear letters, to get a word, to get sentences and structure and syntax. That's not necessary unless you're using the tongue. And many of the people who taught these people did not have a cleft tongue. They didn't have a solid tongue. The tongue was forked. And if you know, there's still a saying amongst the American Native American versus people with forked tongue, which led to hissing sound. You couldn't form vowels with a forked tongue. So you either did it telepathically, or you had a whole different language and a whole different set of pictures. They have said one picture, what? Worth 1,000 words. Same thing with the brain. When you start to use pictures, you begin to awaken the part of the dormant portion of your brain. When you use letters and words, you can never awaken that because it takes too many words, too many letters. One picture, whole sentences, whole things that happen. When you dream, and many people, of course, did not have a lot of conversations in dreams. They had pictures in dreams. Now you're awakening the thought mind. This is why you can go so far and do so much in the dream world, if you will. I want to go to kind of break down and explain, and there seemingly are just thousands of different kinds of races in our cosmos. But I want to deal with just a few. I start off with the chief one, probably the progenitor of all, and that is the Sirian. Sirians are different, and again we're talking about from Sirius B and Sirius C, not Sirius A. Sirius A rules sun system. Sirius B as a creature or a person or a thing, or if you would, 4.5 to 6.5 feet tall, usually amphibian. And also on Sirius B, there's a moon, from which many people refer to now as the Olmecs came from. The Olmecs, and they stopped the history of the Olmecs by misusing what we call the word Mayan here. Anytime you say Mayan, you mean Olmec. That is the prejudiced anthropologist, or ignorantly taught anthropologist word for Olmec. Why? Because the Olmec, if you ever seen the pictures of them, look completely Negro. And they were found everywhere in the Western Hemisphere. They were found not only in South America, but in North America. They were found in Canada. They were found in big barges and things that have been found on the sea. They've been found in picture writing and caves in the ocean. Olmecs were everywhere. And they were the people there, the most ancient people that you can use.
So perhaps I could be from the Olmecs, perhaps. Being that they were all over South America, North America, as well as in Canada.
Usually find here and still call them human, meaning they have truncation, arms, bipedal, this kind of thing. They were called Olmecs. Anything man is a lie. Simply is something that had to be brought about. So rather than say Olmec, which everybody knows is Negro, and in fact, some of the books used to say that they didn't classify or like to give too much credit to Olmecs because they worshipped deformed babies. Now, what this had to do with anything, I don't know. But that's one of the things that they say in archaeology. The reason why they say they worshipped deformed babies was because many of the pictures of the old Mexican baby had a cleft in the head and like a diamond up here by the, what we would now call the middle forehead, like many of the Islamic people now put their dot up there. Yeah. It simply meant that these people were very frontal-lobed, and yet they also had long heads, which meant that they were very psychic. And their babies, of course, were able to do things. They could move objects and birds. They could levitate things. They were very psychic, if you would, very spiritual people. So they don't like to deal with hardly any of that. But at any rate, when you're talking about series, you're talking mainly about B and C. There are 3 sons at least, there may be more, but 3 sons that I've been able to do research on. And all this research was very hard. That is B and C. A rules people on the 12th, 13th dimension, sun people. B and C have people who live on planets that go around suns. This is why they can definitely say to you, there is nothing new under the sun. Because until you graduate through the sun that your planet is around, you haven't evolved. You're still physical or dimensional. You can't go to the 9th and 5th dimension and become sun person. Sons of the sun are people who come out of their bodies, go wherever they want to, stay on that body type for a while, and go on. They are mental people, having nothing to do with the physical planet. There is another group that is called Orion. And if you notice in most of Kemetic history, and I'll stop using the word after, with me, most of Kemetic history, when you see it here, you'll find that the Egyptians, who were looked upon, especially around the 18th dynasty, as almost alchemists and alchemy, they were people again who lit the pyramid. One shaft, or they call it breathing holes or air holes, I don't know what they call that. This is what it is. One points toward Sirius, the other points toward Orion. Sirius has been known again as the dog star because it's in Canis Major and Canis Minor. Orion has been known as a hunter. Orion and creatures and Pleiadians and so they come from there are hunters. Exactly. Well, it is in the page.
Real quickly, what is actually happening in the earth. And I've been hearing noises. I've been feeling vibrations. As if someone's here with me or something that's here with me. It's like footsteps, just the vibrations. And but let's talk about well, I'm ready to look at some of the things that are happening in the earth. And this is why, and I'm telling you, family, this is why we shouldn't have a defeatist attitude about anything. We should never have a defeatist attitude about anything. We shouldn't feel like something is. See, when we have that mind, that's that -3 mind. So we got to get our liberation comes through our minds because that's how they imprison us, through our mental state, through fear, through our emotions. So this is what we have to do. We have to get our 3, we got to add 3 back to ourselves, to who we are. We gotta get self-knowledge back. We gotta come out of all this craziness, out of this illogical stuff. Now, if I sound illogical to you, then you might want to examine and see Um, you know, is all well around you, or do you see destruction in your life? I saw destruction in my life. So what I had to do was know thyself, but not only know thyself, who I am, figure out who I am, what I am, and why I am. But I had to look at all the lies that got me to thinking the way I, and what they call projecting out the world that I was given in my mind, the matrix. I was projecting out that world, that I was creating that world that I was mentally given in my head. You have to break that. You have to get your threes back, your three back. You got to come from being 6 DNA strand being. Even though you're not DNA strand being, you acting, you moving, you being, you existing, you agreeing on with a lower way of being. And this is what happens. Comes this is what comes to tuition. This is what's coming to tuition. Let me share my screen, and then I have to share screen. Where is it? I'll let you see this one first. Oops. Oops, I didn't want that one. That's 5 months ago.
I'm calling your parents. Oh yeah, I know you. 501 down there. Oh, it's a new garage door. My name is Sharon. It's not Karen. Sharon. People keep getting it wrong. No, not Karen. It's like everywhere I go. I'm gonna be like, okay, Karen, or thanks, Karen. What, the Karen? Like, hello. That's not my name. And stop filming me.
Sharon isn't the easiest person to be around.
Hey, Dawn!
Hold on. Commercial. This is still happening. All over every area where these people live, this is happening. All over the place to them. Destruction. And let me show you. Let me share with you.
One night we were upstairs and it was dark because there was no light, no power, and Yeah, there was also no phone connection, so we tried to reach them all night, and it was very hard.
Oops. Hold on.
Tornadoes which have smashed through half a dozen states, killing at least 70 people. The hardest hit Kentucky is dealing with the worst
When it comes
disaster in its history.
This is what remains of Mayfield, Kentucky, America's deadliest tornado in decades, leaving the small city in ruins.
Mayfield needs some prayers. This looks straight out of a movie.
I had tons of memories here. There's nothing left.
The devastation repeated across Arkansas, Illinois, Tennessee.
There's no house in here. There's no houses at all.
Up to 30 twisters tearing through the American Midwest and South. This candle factory in Mayfield, Kentucky, literally wiped off the map.
God, please send us some help. No, we are trapped. No. The wall is stuck on me.
That worker, among about 40, pulled from the rubble alive. Dozens more are missing.
It's going to be a miracle if anybody else is found alive in it.
This will be, I believe, the deadliest tornado system to ever run through Kentucky. We were pretty sure that we would lose over 50 Kentuckians. I'm now certain that that number is north of 70.
The Nestlers count themselves as the lucky ones. The family, including their 9-year-old boy, survived as the tornado blew their house to bits around them.
You can't see anything. It's just pitch black, and you just hear this roaring like a train, and especially when it grabbed my legs, and I had nothing to hold on to. I was grabbed onto the wall.
This is likely to be one of the largest tornado outbreaks in our history. It's a tragedy, and we still don't know how many lives are lost or the full extent of the damage.
Remind you, family, this is their own doing. They set the ball in motion. They set it all in motion. And this is what they given. Well, earthquakes and everything.
If you are struggling to lose weight and secretly want to escape from the prison of fat, then you have to see this now.
And then they run into Africa, and the same thing happens. Here we go. This is what they yield. You bring forth destruction. Destruction comes back to them. In our areas, we don't suffer this. We're not. Our energy. And like I said, because of our energy, we don't do this unless you're around a large amount of film. So the 6 DNA series strand people whose nature is to destroy our lives, our existence, our being. And to basically, even if you're trying to make us like them, like who they are, it's even that a form of destruction. This is all over the place. In the United States, no, it didn't hit my folks, but it hit their folks. It never hit where there's predominantly South Africa. Why not West Africa? Why not where the other people are? No, because these people ruined us as a people. They totally demolished who we are, who we were supposed to have been. They demolished. Now we have to do the healing. We have to do our own healing. But you can't heal when the problem is there. You can't heal when the problem is there. You can't heal. You can't get over a cocaine, a crack addiction. The crack is constantly on the counter, in the car, in the bathroom, by your bed. You just can't. It's a constant struggle. So, family, as I was saying yesterday, before I was, I was cut off. My speech was cut off last night. But
Drinking water before bed burns 46 pounds in
I was talking about how illogical it is to
2 weeks. If you are struggling to lose weight and you're over 25,
I'm trying to and I gotta get ready to go. How illogical or non-thinking it is that we think that these people have the power to put up a sun. That we think that we would even give it a thought. That and not just laugh at it. I have to laugh at everything that they do, the Chinese who try to attempt to do. It's funny. It's not any concern of mine because it's just funny. It's just ridiculous. But to me, and for them to think they can block out the sun and do all this stuff tells you already they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing because that sun is way bigger and that sun is so far out from the earth that whatever little thing they put up there, I'm sure it's going to be destroyed by all kinds of things. It's going to destroy it. They got so much space junk flying up there now, they think it's going to, that stuff just comes right back to the earth. So, when we're on that on their dimension, when we're on their level of thinking, one thing I really would love, I like for our people to be a little bit above that thinking, because above this thinking out here. And you start by coming out of the lies, coming out of the religious way of living, being, existing, the same thing over and over and over again, because that's what they got you on a vicious circle. And we have to really come off of that. We have to come out. So with that said, family, true love, real peace, the higher stuff within the soul. Next time, peace.